Brothers, sisters, and I see some enemies. I think we'd be fooling ourselves if within this large audience we didn't think that there would be any enemies among us. That was referenced from the American Public Records, which is where I received the transcript for this speech. This speech was taken by Malcolm X, which is titled The Ballot and the Bullet. And I think it's such a moving and powerful way for you to start off your speech. It really indicates that what Malcolm X is going to be talking about is very taboo, it's very controversial, and it's something that he knows he's going to receive a lot of backlash and a lot of negative attention for it. But he's doing this in turn to educate the uneducated. He's educating the uneducated Black men and women that are sitting, listening to this speech, that will be going into the polling booths for this particular election, and that they need to be aware of who they're voting for and what they're voting for and what it means for the Black community. So with this opening statement in mind and going throughout the rest of the speech, is the speech truly effective? And the very first question that I asked is this speech important and meaningful? And I would have to say, yes, it is. It's very evident that this speech is very telling and very meaningful, especially as a Black woman. Listening to it now, it mirrors what is currently going on in our political climate here in America and what is going to happen in the foreseeable future. It is also a meaningful speech because, again, it is educating the uneducated. It is helping these Black voters go into the polls with a clear idea of what they're going to be voting for and what it means for them. The next question that I asked is, did the speech appear to be well-researched, prepared, and rehearsed? And I said that I clearly thought that this speech was well rehearsed and well prepared. You can clearly tell that Malcolm took his time preparing this speech, rehearsing this speech, and by his delivery and by the examples that he uses. Even though I don't have a visual representation of what Malcolm X's body language is, and seeing him look up at the audience and give direct eye contact to the audience, I can tell just by the cadence of his voice, the way that he slows himself down, the way that he emphasizes certain words and repeats himself to really deliver the messages that he's trying to convey to the audience as important. You can hear that all throughout the delivery of his speech, and again, as he's repeating himself. And what I mean by the examples is one of them, he's talking about the Black Nationalist Party and how it's not just something that's just gonna pop up and it's just going to become this giant thing. It's something that's going to start within their own backyard. They're being Black men and women, and he's stating that, like General Motors, they didn't start out as this huge enterprise that we know them out to be. They started off as a really small company that became bigger and bigger and bigger and expanded from their own backyard to become this empire that we know of them. So the Black Nationalist Party is going to start within our own houses, in our own backyards, and then become bigger and bigger and bigger and expand upon it. So I thought that was a really powerful and moving example that he included. And the next one is, did the speech have a definite opening, body, and conclusion? And I said, to me, it appeared that it did. In the introduction, going back to the quote that I referenced at the very beginning of this speech, it was very evident when he's introducing himself, when he's introducing his religion, when he's basically greeting his whole audience, that it's very evident that there is an introduction. And then throughout the lengths of body paragraphs, that is the body. And even going so far as towards the conclusion of this speech, Malcolm even states, to conclude my speech prior to the end of his speech. So going back to my original question, was Malcolm X's speech effective? And in my personal opinion, it was. Even though I really wish that I could have had a visual representation to indicate again, the body language to see if he actually looked comfortable while he's delivering this speech would have been a very helpful tool for me. Again, just in the body language, just in his voice, and how he seems to be so passionate about this topic and how he's so moved about it that he delivered essentially an hour-long speech about the ballot and the bullet and what that means for being a Black man or woman in America. It is very telling, and I think that this speech by Malcolm X truly delivered a message of what it means to be a Black man or woman in America during this time. Thank you.